biochemistry. Today we're going to talk about vitamin C and we're going to make a beautiful galette, which is fruit wrapped in a pie crust, to put it simply. So we're going to start out with our flour, and this is a double crust recipe because I always like to hack my recipes and make two and put one in the freezer. Like yesterday I made one pizza and then one pizza crust. Same amount of work, same washing, and double the output. So I'm going to put 1.5 cups of my gluten-free all-purpose flour mix. And then I'm going to put 1/2 cup of teff flour, because I don't want my traditional pie crust. I want to have something really homey and earthy, kind of wintry and full of a higher level of nutrients. Teff is especially high in nutrients such as calcium, iron, minerals in general. And then to help it all stick together and help with our workability, especially since we're doing a free-form tart, I'm going to put in 1/2 cup of tapioca flour. If you had guar gum and you're not very experienced with cooking and baking especially, I would add in 1/2 teaspoon of guar gum as well. It's just going to help everything stick together and not break apart. I've made thousands of crusts and galettes, so I'm not too worried. I'm going to add in a little salt and give that a whiz, about 1/2 teaspoon. I'm going to give this a little stir, and then I'm going to add in 2/3 cup of coconut oil that has been chilled. I'm going to do that piece by piece, adding in gradually and letting the mixer whiz. First start with a couple. After your pie crust comes together, and I switched to decide to use the mixer because that food processor, normally food processors work great, but that food processor has a design flaw where the blade is too far down below, so it's not getting up in the middle of the dough. It needs another 1/4 to 1/2 inch to work. So I'm going to roll out about half this dough at a time. I might make a bigger half so I can fill up a pan that later I'm going to use to make a quiche. Something with tomatoes and spinach, I'm imagining, but not a spinach quiche, something layered, like spinach leaves layered with big juicy tomatoes with basil and covered with eggs and cheese on top. Just a dash of cheese. So let's talk about vitamin C. Vitamin C plays a role in making things, as well as major antioxidant support and supporting the function of the immune system by contributing to leukocyte activities, which are one of your main white blood cells. Vitamin C helps make things like collagen, carnitine, neurotransmitters. It helps support iron metabolism. Finally, vitamin C acts as an antioxidant in 2 ways. As an antioxidant, vitamin C works directly by donating an electron to compounds that would otherwise oxidize compounds or steal electrons for them. So then when vitamin C gives that thing an electron, it reduces it. Even though it's giving something, it reduces it because it's giving something negative. So essentially it's reducing the charge. That makes sense. I just thought of this, but I could have made the strawberries beforehand and set them aside, or you can also, because the crust we're going to immediately roll over and bake it flat free form. You could also even do this easier by directly rolling it out onto your sheet pan. Vitamin C also helps the body in regenerating one of its main endogenous antioxidants, glutathione. So that's how it works in 2 ways to be an antioxidant. Fold this over. Gluten-free flour is a little bit harder to work with, and then also in general, but it doesn't matter because we're going to fold this over. So if it breaks, just push it right back together, and that's going to be beautiful. Another great way to make one of these galettes would be to use my empanada dough recipe, and that would work as well on this. And I'm going to put my other pie crust in the fridge to chill, and I'll roll that one out second. Now you might be surprised to learn that vitamin C plays a role in your mood. How is that, you might ask? Well, vitamin C plays a role in neurotransmitter synthesis, especially serotonin and norepinephrine. What are these neurotransmitters? Are these the main neurotransmitters that are the target of serotonin reuptake inhibitors? I think so. With the strawberries, I've put in a 1/4 cup of sugar, and I have unbleached sugar so it's not treated with chemicals. You can also use Damara sugar. That's a lovely sugar. Coconut sugar. You know, I wonder why when we go to the doctor and are feeling sad, they don't first evaluate our vitamin C status of our serum. Might be cool. A good way to increase your neurotransmitter synthesis, you have to think about all the things that you are doing in your environment that need vitamin C. You know, have you been ill lately? Well, you're going to need more vitamin C. Have you been exposed to a lot of pollution, or is your lifestyle such where you're consuming foods that cause, or drinks that cause oxidation in your body? And a lot of them do. You know, something might be alcohol, smoking. With these activities, you need a lot more vitamin C, much higher vitamin C intake. Vitamin C is also responsible for fat metabolism. You might think, oh, I'm not burning off the fat, I need to burn off my fat more. Well, you know, theoretically, if you had more vitamin C, this could help make more carnitine, and carnitine is the molecule that helps shuttle fat into the mitochondria so that the fat can be metabolized for energy. So not only do you get more energy, you know, a lot of times I think people are low on energy because they don't have much nutrients, and all we want to do is drink coffee. Well, really, I think we need some vitamin cocktails. Look at that beautiful, cute little baby strawberry. Vitamin C is super important for collagen synthesis, and collagen, we all know, is that molecule underneath our skin that lends it that plump, juicy feeling, or appearance and feeling. Little babies are lots and lots of collagen. Speaking of babies, babies need about 8 to 10 milligrams, well, it's 10 milligrams a day, 8 milligrams to not get scurvy of vitamin C per day. Because vitamin C is so important for collagen synthesis, it's also important for the pregnant and lactating, well, the pregnant woman especially, because during pregnancy you have to make lots and lots of collagen for your body, and you can't do this unless you have enough vitamin C. And frankly, I think that if women were taking, you know, 150 to 200 milligrams per day, or double the RDA or more for a day of vitamin C, they might see their skin return back to a better state afterwards. Because really what happens during pregnancy is, if most of the time, not always, but for the majority of nutrients, if the baby doesn't have enough, they're gonna get it. The baby's gonna get it, but then the mama will be deficient. So the baby has to survive, it has to be built. So what happens when it says, well, I'm not getting enough collagen, I'm not getting enough vitamin C, well then the baby's gonna get that vitamin C or that collagen first. And you also need to grow all that skin, you know, you're here, you need to go out to here. You're not pregnant, cooking like this. Imagine all that space there needs collagen, and that needs vitamin C. Vitamin C is also super important for iron metabolism and reducing iron so it's more easily absorbed, especially iron that comes from plants if you consume vitamin C at the same time. Like if I had some spinach salad for dinner, or I had a spinach salad and I put some strawberries on it that are high in vitamin C, I would absorb more of that iron from that spinach. Now I wash these very good, and I also let them dry very good. I washed them in a mixture of vinegar, baking soda, and water, filtered water, and then I added vinegar and baking soda and let them sit for about 20 minutes. Then I took them out. You can store strawberries really well by cutting the tops off and putting them in a glass jar and sealing it, and they will last for about a week instead of 2 or 3 days like strawberries normally would last in the fridge. Now the RDA for vitamin C is set by the American Dietetics Association to be 85 milligrams a day for a pregnant woman and about 120 milligrams per day for a lactating woman. I'm going to stir this up and I'm going to add a little tapioca flour. And the tapioca flour is just going to serve to grab those juices and kind of like make something thick and gooey like you want to have into your dessert. I don't know, that looks about right. Look nice and coated, and that looks a little crazy, but it's going to all come together because when the strawberries cook, they're going to release juices. And generally, if you made them and let them sit for a while, they would release juices as well. You could also add in a little lime zest, juice of half a lemon. You could also use vanilla if you wanted a different flavor. So the RDA for vitamin C was actually not based on studies on people, but based on data from test tubes. The RDA for vitamin C was determined by looking at neutrophil concentrations, which are your leukocyte. The RDA for vitamin C was determined by how much vitamin C is needed for antioxidant status and for leukocyte saturation, which basically essentially means they took some white blood cells in his test tube and put different doses of vitamin C to see what maintained the leukocytes concentration. Leukocytes are immune cells that are in your blood and that need vitamin C to function. Okay, that looks beautiful. The World Health Organization in 2004 realized, the vitamin C is not based on, the vitamin C concentration is not based on human studies, so they undertook it to come up with recommendations for vitamin C based on actual turnover studies. And turnover studies are when you give someone a nutrient and then you measure how much is in their plasma of that nutrient based on different concentrations. But most of all those turnover studies are done on men. So the problem is that science is looking at women like we're little men, but we're not little men. And a lot of times, but it's even funny almost, like with the vitamin C recommendation, they're literally giving pregnant women the basis, the same amount that men need plus 10 milligrams for the baby. So the baby needs 8 milligrams to prevent scurvy. They're giving pregnant women 45 plus 10 milligrams. There's a 2 plus or minus 2 leeway there. But pregnant women are not men plus a baby. That just doesn't really add up. And so it's logical, but it doesn't really, it's logical, but that's not really how the body works. For lactation, they took the pregnant woman's amount and then added the amount from the turnover studies. They set a value of 45 milligrams per day for men. But this 45 milligrams is when men reach a 50% vitamin C saturation in their tissues, but it's not the 100% saturation in their tissues. And interestingly, because of the S-shaped absorption curve for vitamin C, you actually need to intake 4 times the amount of vitamin C to reach that 100% saturation rate. So you need to take in 200 milligrams of vitamin C. A man needs to take in 200 milligrams of vitamin C to reach steady state concentration where all the tissues are saturated with vitamin C. So, okay, in order to question if the vitamin C recommendations for pregnancy and lactation are valid, we first need to know some information about how the recommendations were set and about the metabolism of vitamin C. First of all, vitamin C follows a nonlinear absorption curve. So this means, you might have an absorption curve where a small intake right here, then versus large intake over here, your absorption curve could look like this, which makes sense. With vitamin C, you have a small amount of absorption, and then as you reach a median level of intake of vitamin C, that curve sharply and quickly ascends, and then when you have higher levels of vitamin C intake, it flattens out. And that's our S-shaped curve. It's nonlinear. And that's interesting because really what it's saying is that the body, when it sees, when it just has a little bit of vitamin C, it's actively uptaking it. And vitamin C, interestingly, has active uptake mechanisms, where most uptake mechanisms are passive in the body for most nutrients. So vitamin C is all active uptake until it becomes a really high concentration, and then it becomes passive. So if you get it past a certain point. So what that says is when the body sees a large amount of vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin. Remember, there's quick turnover. It can be excreted easily. So the body's like, vitamin C, take it up, juice, mango. Because it might be a while until you get vitamin C again, just in terms of thinking about hunter and gatherer and how the physiology of the body works. This way that vitamin C is absorbed really underscores the importance of vitamin C in the body, and you have to remember that we're one of the few animals that cannot synthesize vitamin C, and a lot of animals they can't. And other than primates and some fruit bats, I think we're really the only animals that have to have a regular high intake of vitamin C. So you think about it evolutionarily, the body has made mechanisms so that we can get enough of that critical nutrient. And if it breaks when you come up, no worries, just press it back together. Remember, we don't have gluten in our crust, so we don't have that bindy glue that you would find in other foods. Secondly, the turnover studies for vitamin C recommendations are done on men. So we have to consider that. Are you able to, is it valid to use a study on men and extrapolate for the needs of women? Perhaps, but depletion studies, we do have some of those on women. Depletion studies show that, oh my God, I need to preheat my oven. Depletion studies show that women deplete vitamin C rapidly. What does that mean? Women are metabolizing vitamin C more rapidly than men are. And this, I think, would weigh more heavily on my mind when setting recommendations over depletions, over turnover studies based on men. Now remember that the steady state concentration, or 50% saturation for men of your tissues, is set at 45. Women, we don't know what the steady state concentration is for women. So basically that just means we don't know what volume of vitamin C you need to intake to reach that 100% saturation in women. Considering that women might metabolize vitamin C faster, it seems like it might be a higher amount. I don't really know because we don't have the studies, but I can conjecture. The value of 55 milligrams per day was set based on, and then you can just take your extra little crust, and I just tuck them in there, and that's just going to give extra goodness to your Galette. And we're going to pop that in the oven as soon as it gets preheated. And then I'm going to show you how I'm going to roll out my other crust and save that. So the value of 55 milligrams per day for pregnant women was set based on the value for men, plus allowing some for the fetus, allowing 10 milligrams for the fetus. Now, although I can recognize that the way this was set was logical, it does not negate the fact that this is still arbitrary. So sometimes I need to mix this crust up so I can get it. Got my dough here, and I got added a teaspoon. Sometimes it can dry out in the fridge. So lactating women, after pregnant women were given another 10 milligrams from the pregnancy values. So you can see really for pregnancy and lactation, we're originally going off men. And it's good to be logical, but we are really lacking in proper studies on women and pregnant state women. And you can do something like a turnover study on pregnant or lactating women, especially because vitamin C is a water vitamin. So we really have to be careful in considering that women are little men, because we're not little men. And actually, I think in many ways we have higher metabolic needs in some ways. I mean, you just think about, if you have a wound healing, right? Like after you give birth, you have a huge wound in your body. How is that wound going to heal? Vitamin C. Well, what's going to happen first? Your breast milk needs vitamin C. And some of the information for the RDAs was taken from the amount that's in breast milk, but there's little to no data on the methods for that. So are we based on an average? Is it a mean value of the vitamin C that's in breast milk, or did they do measurements on the women's steady state concentration? Is there dietary intake information so we know the amount of vitamin C they were intaking? Or are we just taking poorly nourished women from a poor, low socioeconomic status area and then measuring their vitamin C and then basing all the vitamin C recommendations on that? There it is. And I'm going to get this a little thinner. And you know, vitamin C has so many important roles that you need it for many aspects of metabolism. It's important for amino acid metabolism, especially tyrosine and tryptophan. And if you remember from the niacin, or if you haven't watched the niacin video, be sure and go watch it if it's up yet. But tryptophan metabolism greatly affects the amount of niacin because tryptophan is itself turned into niacin. So you know, indirectly, the amount of vitamin C you intake also affects your niacin levels, which is a really important molecule in energy metabolism. Okay, and what I like to do, you can't really fold gluten-free crust the way that you can regular crust. Or regular crust you just fold over and fold over. I like to actually divide it in half and then put it back together, which I find is easier than having a breakage. So I'm going to put this like this. And this is going to make a real hearty dinner, and I love to have something like a bread product made because then you just add a few vegetables. And when people think of eating plant-based diets as not very optimal, but it is. I mean, you should get most of your iron from plants, like this teff right here. I'm going to do this. That's because heme iron, or ferric iron, is oxidative. You know, I think that's why you see meat eaters, they look so freaking old, like all wrinkled. They're like, oh, I love eating meat. And you're like, well, why do you look so old? And then you see vegetarians or vegans. I don't think it's necessarily purely just the differences in protein, because you know, our meat protein or animal protein. I think it's the difference that your body absorbs and takes up stuff. Or, you know, when you're eating a lot of plant foods, you're eating huge amounts of vitamin C. And in my manual on cooking in the kitchen for breastfeeding and pregnancy, it's called Staying Fed. You can get it on Amazon or my blog. And that'd be great if you bought it, because you can help support me and all the time I spend doing research or making videos like this to educate people. But in that manual, I have huge levels of vitamin C. I will see vitamin C levels of 300, 450%, 220% easy in a day. Because when you're eating plant-based foods, you know, red peppers is not just fruits that have vitamin C. Red peppers are really high in vitamin C. You can have half a red pepper and meet your RDA. And now remember, one of the big things here and that I'm trying to get through to you is the RDA is not optimal levels. This is not optimal nutrition. The RDA is the minimal to prevent disease. And there's a lot of fallacies. You know, I also think some of the other nutrients could be too high or too low based on how they're determined. But for vitamin C, it's one nutrient that is especially lacking in how it's determined for pregnancy and lactating women, and women in general. So remember, vitamin C plays major synthesis roles in the body. We've got the amino acid metabolism, the carnitine for the fat metabolism, collagen synthesis, neurotransmitters, serotonin and epinephrine. So remember that vitamin C plays a major metabolic role in the body in terms of antioxidants and preventing oxidative stress and for synthesizing things like collagen. But I think you should be having an intake, be aiming for much higher levels of vitamin C during this time. I hope you enjoyed this video on making a strawberry galette. You saw how easy it was and how quick. You could do all of this in about 15 minutes. But I'm talking and can't move at the same speed when I'm talking, and then I have this beautiful crust. I'm just going to pop this straight in the freezer. I'm going to cover it with some foil. You could also put it in a plastic bag. I don't really like to use saran wrap because of all the there's no perfect film, but saran wrap is my least favorite, so try to use foil if you can, because it doesn't have to really touch, and saran wrap kind of, people, they push that all down, and then the plastics and the endocrine disruptors all go into your food. This is Carmen, and I hope you enjoyed learning about nutrition today and vitamin C for pregnancy and lactation, and you can show me you enjoyed this video by an easy subscribe. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna put together our quiche real quick, and I've got the pie crust that we made. We're gonna move that aside. We're going to put in 6 eggs. I like a lot of eggs in my quiche. Then I'm gonna add a teaspoon of baking powder. You could also use baking soda, it would work as well. I've got 2 tablespoons of tapioca flour. You can also use a blender for this process, which makes the process much easier. Then I add in my spinach. I have 2 bunches of spinach. Spinach is high in iron, but it's in the ferric form, which is Fe3+, and we want to turn it into the ferrous form, Fe2+. So vitamin C works to reduce the iron from the Fe3+ to the Fe2+ by donating an electron, and that Fe2+ valent state is much more easily absorbed by the body. So adding C, for example, from our tomatoes that we have into our quiche is going to make that iron more bioavailable. I'm going to layer 2 green onions on the bottom. I like to have an airy layer on the bottom just to help create that steam effect down here. So I always want to put a vegetable layer down, and when you cook scallions they become much more mild. And then I'm going to put in a layer of cheese after that. Remember that vitamin C recommendations are not based on pregnant women and lactating women, so sometimes in that sort of case we look to other recommendations. Other recommendations such as Germany, Austria, and Switzerland recommend that starting in the 4th month of pregnancy, women consume 105 milligrams per day, and in lactation they consume 125 milligrams per day. So just keep that in mind. And then after that I'm going to add more eggs. More cheese, and then I'm going to begin picking off these basils and putting these whole basil leaves all over. Basil, surprisingly, is also a very high iron food. In general, herbs add a lot of nutrition to our diet, even if it's just in the form of phytochemicals and helping prevent infections in the body and strengthening the immune system. It's important to eat herbs, and that's why there's a long culinary tradition of consuming herbs. Do we get enough basil for every single one? Pick off the flour there. I like lots of basil. Then I'm going to add some of these beautiful beefsteak tomatoes. Kind of nestle it right down in there. So we have a total of 11 eggs. 1½ cups of cheese. I'm going to put the rest of this. This is a beautiful manchego sheep's cheese, which is more easily digestible because of the different proteins in sheep cheese versus cow cheese, and it's more biocompatible with the body. I'm going to put that. I'm going to put this beautiful basil leaf to cook up on top. Kind of get it all pushed down inside the egg. And tomatoes are full of vitamin C. That's really the one nutrient that they really provide. And that's going to help liberate the vitamin C in this beautiful basil and spinach filled quiche.
Message deleted.